It is such a gift, honestly, to be here today with you all. I'm part of this organization because of community, just as Cindy was saying. Because in this room, we are community together. We strengthen each other, we support each other as we grow and learn from each other. Community has always been very strong in my heart. As I close my eyes, I can almost hear the clinking of teacups. It takes me back to my childhood in Calcutta. Even before I open my eyes, I know that I'm filled with love. There's love surrounding me. Is it going to be my grandmother, my Didu, who will coax me out of bed? Will it be my grandfather, my Dadu, who will hold my hand and walk me to school? Will my hair get brushed today by my Mashi with the tenderness that only an auntie can give you? There were voices to guide me. There were hands to hold everywhere I looked. I was surrounded in a gentle cocoon, woven together with family, culture, and love. I didn't know what it felt like to be alone. Not yet. At 4 years old, my father, who was a petroleum engineer, was offered an incredible opportunity with Mobil Oil, an American company. It seemed overnight we were transported to Libya. I had left my cocoon. Things were very different. I didn't have my Didu, my Dadu, and my Mashi. My father traveled for weeks at times, and my mother and I were left alone. She enrolled me in this Italian convent. She would drop me off in the morning. You see, the problem was, I didn't speak Italian. I didn't speak Arabic. And at 4, on my first day of kindergarten, I would slowly start to learn how to speak English. Friends were hard to come by. The only comfort that I found was playing with my dolls. I loved my dolls. I had so many of them. Ones that could walk, ones that could talk. I would feed them, I would nurture them. You might say that I was playing house, but no, I was playing hospital. But I remember looking at my mother those years, and all I saw was weariness. What I was trying to do was nurture the dolls and give them the comfort that actually I was wishing she could provide to me, that she was just not able to give me. I learned lesson number 1. Community is everything. We thrive in community. More importantly, without community, we can't nurture the people around us that we love so much. Over the next 14 years, we would travel all over the world. We would learn different languages, and one thing was for sure. We learned very quickly to build our community wherever we went. And finally, after graduating from high school, I was off to college in New York. This was my moment. I was done with the travels. My parents' travels were no longer going to affect me. Not anymore. I was here to pursue my dream of becoming a doctor. I started my pre-med journey, and I began interning in a hospital. But what I saw was just not what I expected. Cold, sterile halls that smelled like bleach, lonely patients in pain, waiting for the next pill, medical students that would rattle off diagnoses in their rounds as if they were solving a puzzle and not helping a person feel better. how did this happen? How did these people get so sick? When did this begin? Could we not have helped them earlier on? At the same time, there was something else going on in my life. You see, I met this boy, and I was falling head over heels in love. Completely unexpected. I was there to pursue my dreams. This was not part of my dream. But this boy, George, became everything to me. There was a problem. George had this persistent eye pain. This pain that was just not going away, and it had started early on, the first few weeks of college. He was there with the Air Force ROTC scholarship. He was there with his dream of wanting to become a pilot. But slowly, as the pain progressed, he just wasn't able to study. We went to all the normal doctors. I, of course, went with him because I had fallen in love with him. I was going to do all the talking for him. Maybe he wasn't asking all the right questions. I knew the questions to ask. We could do this. Well, the optometrist said he didn't need glasses. And the ophthalmologist said that his eye looked healthy. Finally, his track coach recommended that he go to the chiropractor. I said, what? It's your eye. Maybe he doesn't understand. Did you tell the track coach? I don't know what chiropractors do. Worried, concerned, not knowing what was going to happen to George and his scholarship. Very concerned about what was going to happen to my relationship if this guy left. We had no other choice but to go seek Dr. Tim Meggs' help. I remember that day, that first day walking to the chiropractor. It was a 3-mile walk. We didn't have a car. We were college kids. We talked about the chiropractor. We were scared, worried, wondering what he was going to do. Was it going to hurt? What do chiropractors do anyway? The minute we walked into the receptionist's office, I was actually going to say the living room, because that's what it felt like to me, that I had been transported into somebody's living room. It felt so warm. She was so friendly. And all of a sudden, we started feeling a little bit better. As we waited there, people of all ages came in and out. There were kids that were getting treated, elderly people, middle-aged people. We were mingling with each other, and then Tim Meggs called us back. And again, that worry came over us. What was he even going to do? Dr. Meggs talked to George, asked him some other questions that other doctors hadn't, sat him down on the table, asked him to move his neck around, felt his spine very gently, and said, George, you have a pinched nerve. See, your structure has changed. Your ears are supposed to sit over your shoulder, but you have been bent over studying. You know, today we call it text neck. Back then we just called it student syndrome. And so we said, well, what do we do? Well, if I adjust the upper part of the neck, where the nerve is being pinched, the nerve that goes to the eyes, chances are we can relieve the neck tension and you can start feeling a little bit better. He was adjusted, it didn't hurt. And lo and behold, he sat up and he looked at me. And he said, Misty, I feel 50% better. What? How is that even possible? I learned lesson number 2. Structure defines function. You see, we're supposed to have a certain type of structure, ears over the shoulder as far as the neck goes. But George's structure had changed drastically during those first 8 weeks of school. So, with a series of adjustments, he started to feel better. And I had the aha moment. This is what I wanted to do. This is the kind of doctor I wanted to be. I wanted to be here at the early stages of disease. I wanted to be here at the root cause. I didn't want to be at the end. So, George and I, still an item, went our separate ways for a few years. He became a pilot and I became a chiropractor. We got married, and then all of a sudden, history repeated itself all over again. For the next 20 years, we would travel with the Air Force all over the country. Everywhere we went, I practiced chiropractic. I saw thousands and thousands of patients. But you see, I knew now how to build my community. I had that down. And the patients, oh my goodness, they would come in with so many different symptoms, but every single time we would bring it back to the root cause, their structure. How had their structure changed? What were they doing that was so different, that was causing them this thing that we call pain, the signal that the body gives you that something might be out of alignment? Well, 20 years later, we came back to the DMV area, and in 2006, George retired. I looked around me. George was at work. We weren't going to travel anymore. My 2 kids were well settled in school. This was my moment. This now was my time to start my clinic. So in 2008, I opened Basics First Chiropractic. So, you might say, why the name Basics First? Because you see, it starts with your foundation. Of all the symptoms that come in, we always take it back to the posture scan, the posture evaluation that tells me what is going on with your feet, what is going on with your structure, and how that structure might be causing problems. You might think that I see a lot of neck pain and back pain. I could tell you stories. I could tell you stories of Matt, the young 30-year-old that came in just earlier over the summer with such severe jaw pain that he was actually eating soft food for 6 months and he wasn't able to hold his 2-month-old baby. He had reached out in his community and had done all the right things. He'd gotten his teeth checked. He had gotten Invisalign. He had gone to the orthodontist. But what he needed was to relieve the tension in the neck. I could tell you about Miss Jessica, who comes in to see me every couple of weeks. She's in her 80s and she loves to sit on her couch and read, and that's never gonna stop. She went to her eye doctor and she got some new bifocals. She's getting adjusted to those bifocals, and it's causing some tension in her neck that if I can help her feel better, she can keep on reading. I could tell you about all the young school-age children that are running in and out of my clinic. They are in all the different types of athletic activities. And we're making sure that we're taking a look at their feet. Because by taking a look at their feet and getting their feet aligned, I can help keep them away from growth plate injuries and their heels and their knees. And the stories go on. But you know what? There was one more lesson that I just sometimes have such a hard time learning. And here it is. Just 4 weeks ago, I, myself, had debilitating low back pain. Now, how can that be? Come on. I am a chiropractor. I'm never, ever, ever supposed to have back pain. I should be able to bend down, put my shoes on. But all of a sudden, I kid you not, on a Sunday, I wasn't able to bend. You know, I've heard it from others before. I didn't lift anything. I didn't twist my back. I just woke up with debilitating back pain. What was I doing wrong? So Sunday, George and I went to my clinic. I did all my high-tech therapy. We spent hours there. At the end of it, I felt marginally better. What was I missing? I hadn't been consistent with my chiropractic care. I hadn't nurtured myself. So I reached out to my good friend, Catherine, and I made sure that I went over and I got adjusted on Monday, and then again on Wednesday. And after a series of adjustments, I can finally stand here today wearing these boots and I can actually bend over. Lesson number 3. Self-care is never selfish. Nurture yourself. Because if you don't nurture and take care of yourself, you're not going to be able to take care of others around you. So the 3 takeaways today: build community, understand your structure, get it evaluated. Understand that self-care is not selfish. Nurture yourself. You all in this room can implement these 3 very easily. You're already part of a great community. I invite you all to come in and get a posture scan done. Let's see if your ears are over your shoulders, and let's see what those feet look like, because that will tell us a little bit about your structure. And if you do that, then you are nurturing yourselves. I'm Dr. Misty Paul with Basics First Chiropractic. We're building better health by putting basics first. Thank you.